Good afternoon.
I was air guitaring as well.
Jen, yes, we can see you. Good afternoon, Shelley. Good afternoon, Joanne. And of course, hello, Facebook user. You're always with us. Let us know who you are. Good afternoon. It is, of course, 4 on a Friday. So it's time for the lovely Rev Tony and, of course, myself for 2 Revs on Spiritline on philosophy.
Yay!
Hello.
Hi,
hello, of
Miles.
course, to Miles. And, of course, the lovely Cherry. Hello. I can always tell when it's France, it's Cherry. So, Tony, how are you?
I'm absolutely wonderful today. Better than the weather, as they say.
Absolutely.
It's freezing here on the coast.
Yes.
But up at home, they're snowed in, so I'm pleased we're here and not.
Oh, you definitely chose the right location then.
Yes. Yes, your name is showing Jen Stevenson. I've just seen a question.
Yes. So we will always be able to tell. That's of course the lovely Cherry because of the little FR at the end there. Good girl. Mother.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Of
Please.
course we will.
Pete is a very, very, very dear friend of Little Port. Well, he's not just a friend; he's family. So yes, please send healing to the
and
darling.
to the 7 souls who were shot in Hamburg in the Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall tragedy. An unborn baby apparently among them.
Yes.
Sad.
Yes.
Hi, Daryl.
He's here, Daryl boy, and yes. So, what kind of week has it been for Reverend Tony and that wonderful haircut of yours?
It's been a busy week. We've had a week of dealing with people from the LGBTQ community. Of course, as we're now the doggy walking cat, I apologise. Oi!
Who let the dogs out? I do apologise. Let me rename myself. Whilst we are just there, we go. Snap your fingers. There you go, magic, and it's changed. Thank you, Shelley, for pointing out that I was still at the village hall. I can well imagine. Bless them. And Michael is, of course, in the background there, joining in rather than helping. You know.
Yeah. He's just sat there as well in the corner.
Yeah.
We're barking their heads off. Yes.
Now, for everyone at home, please do not panic. Occasionally, Reverend Tony will pixelate, and on occasion, he might bob off and bob back on again. He is what's known in the trade as on location. So do not panic. We can hear him and see him, as is the dogs have let us know. So panic ye not. We have a good strong signal.
Pepe, be quiet. Yes, we're relying on a satellite Wi-Fi system here.
Yes.
So if the weather can get a little bit tricky. But
yes,
it's been a fulfilling week. We've made some good inroads with people and made some good links and connections. So very good. How about yourself? Good service on Thursday.
We had such fun. We really did. Absolutely such fun. With last night. Shelley, you win the internet for the day with that comment. Well done, darling. I like that. That wins the internet. You broke me. You got the naughty
Yeah.
laugh.
Yeah.
So yes, we had a wonderful service last night with the lovely Linda Ray. We have what else have I been doing? Been doing some healing, been doing some work on the book, of course. Getting Mum's eye sorted out, bless her. So thank you all for their healing. And tonight I'm doing a workshop with the lovely Dawn Collinson Quarry. For SPTV VIPs. So that's going to be interesting to work with Dawn in yet another way. Big workshop on Sunday, of course, at the Village Hall coming. And of course, my wonderful darling circle members from Mondays and Wednesdays, of which a number of them have joined us today. So it's just keeping busy and keeping the work going, really, is the honest truth. You know, we were talking earlier about what will we talk about this, as we invariably do. What will the subject be? Because it's been, comparatively at least, a slow news week. When you're getting breaking news that Prince Edward's just become the Duke of Edinburgh, well, yes, of course, but does that really warrant the on your phone every 5 minutes? It really is a case of over to you, lovely people. We say that this is about your show. This is your show. We prove that. So if there we go. Absolutely. Slow news days are opportunities to talk about other things. You will have to wait and see, lovely darling. You will have to wait and see. It is a surprise. The workshop you know me, Tony. You know what I'm like about pre-planning. I just don't.
No.
Me and Dawn spent some time yesterday planning tonight's workshop. Me and planning, so it was quite unusual for me. So yes, it is planned, Joanne, but it's still a secret because it still might change, in spirit. But yeah, I mean, I give my workshops names, but I still don't know what we're doing until 2 days before.
No.
You know, why do they do that? I wonder.
I don't know. I have much the same thing when either I've gone or Nick's gone. Oh, I'm back. Hello.
Oh, hello.
I'm back.
Can you hear me, darling?
I can. Yes. Sorry.
Oh,
it
thank
must have
God
been
for
a
that.
gust of wind across the. Yeah, I have much the same thing. I'll think, I'll do this and I'll do this and we'll get this sorted and we'll have that organised. And then you walk into the room and Spirit,
nothing done.
And Spirit just goes, nah, not doing that. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like tonight, I'm working with the lovely Iris Otten, who's a wonderful medium and a wonderful lady here. And she says it's an event in Withensea in the Meridian Centre. And I said, all right, and what are we doing? Well, you know.
Yeah. I just love it. I think it gives it a sense of mystery and adventure.
Yeah.
If I'm honest, you know. Daryl, can't wait. I assume Daryl's joining the workshop tonight. Can't wait to see see if it will be out on location. Was imagining there's like me and you, Nick, as the only males there. Well, you know, some would say that that's debatable with me there anyway. I probably should have waited to say that after Tony finished his drink, but you know, it still is the case.
Yeah.
There's a bit of plug-in for you. There's the details.
In the area.
Withensea Meridian Centre, 7 p.m, £10 all to charity. Really is wonderful. Really is wonderful.
Yeah.
Christy,
a lot of work for charity. A lot of what she does goes straight to charity. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So,
absolutely.
Anyway, send you a message, Nick, to pass on to Richard, please.
Absolutely. I will be speaking to the young man in around about 3 hours, in fact. So it will be passed on then. And good to see you back today, Chrissy. Hope you're feeling all right. Hope you and James enjoyed the heavy metal rock concert or the rock concert, at least. I can't remember if it was heavy metal or not.
Sounded fun.
Yes.
Fun.
Yeah. Absolutely. I can't wait for tonight from Facebook. I don't know who you are. Let us know who you are, because let me just have a look and see if I can jump onto Facebook and see if I can see who you are, because I don't like using the phrase Facebook user. Is the honest truth. I like to give people the names that they were created with.
Yeah.
Bear with. Bear with.
I can't see it on mine, so it must be on your feed.
Okie dokie. 15 comments.
Afternoon,
it
Nick.
must be. I can't see who.
No.
I can't see.
No. It's Christine, Nick.
Oh, it's Christine. Hello. Good to see you. Thank you, Shelley, because I couldn't. So we are joined, of course, by Nicola, Christine, and Shelley, and we've got Daryl, we've got Chrissy, we've got Joanne, we've got Gina. Hello, Gina. Good to see you, honey. So we have got the gang coming. Mother. As my own mother, I would like to point out, you can call me Nicholas, so long as you spell it with the H that you gave to me 44 years ago. Christine, hi, Christine. My own mother spelt my name wrong. How bad's that? Oh.
Michael's mum sometimes gets the A and the E the wrong way around in his name. So.
Yes. Didn't go to the gig. Just dropped Son off and went shopping. Even better. Don't blame you. You know.
Retail therapy.
We do like a bit of retail therapy. We do indeed. Indeed.
Yes.
So yes. So the mystery of spirit.
Yes.
The mysteries of spirit.
And somebody said.
That's always a good.
Like to be, as we're free to change our mind.
Yes, here we go. I believe that would have been as we are free to change it. Free will. This is a really, and it's funny actually, because I was thinking about free will earlier in one of my many wanderings in the mind and spirit. Free will. Do we really understand the concept of it properly or not?
I don't think we do, and I don't think we understand the opportunities of it either, because when I give readings, they will often give guidance, but I always follow it with, but it's only guidance from spirit. You have your own path to choose. But why don't they tell me what to do? And I said, they won't tell you what to do, because we have freedom to choose our own path. And I don't think we appreciate the magnitude of that.
Yeah.
All this.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's some really, really good points starting to come forward. Please lead the debate, my friends. Including, the fact that there is another Nick out there who's still younger than me, of course, as always.
Not by much.
Not by much. Only 8 years. But yeah, I mean, I have to be careful how I word this, because it might come across as negative. It's not negative, but do you think that the way, in particular, Christianity talks about free will as being a sin, is why we don't always get the point. If I tell you what I was thinking about earlier and why my head was in the world of free will, it kind of explain where I'm coming from. I sat there talking to Gordon and the guys and girls and everything in between and above and beyond and below in my group, because sometimes we have committee meetings where literally everyone and everyone just joins in. It usually starts with a little bit of a chit chat between me and Gordon, and then everyone else starts chipping in, and then every level of the group just starts to move in on the moment. And I was thinking about, free will and, the way it was referred to as a sin. I don't believe that free will is a sin. I don't believe. I believe that the taking of the apple is representative of being given free will, but I don't believe it is the sin that it is painted to be. I don't believe that our coming here is punishment for a bad choice. I always believe that when is free will not free will? When it's forced upon you. So there had to be a way for us to take free will without being told there it is, take it. Otherwise, that's not free will at its core.
No.
Free will has to be a choice. So in order to make it a choice, you have to say, you don't really want that, leave that alone. And then you have to also say, but it's there and it's really, really nice. So I personally believe that the story of the apple, which was a fig, not an apple, by the way, but the story of the fruit of the tree of knowledge, is about how we were, I want to say duped, but deliberately duped, not harshly duped. But in order to make free will a genuine concept, you can't undermine it right from the get-go.
No.
So it has to be a conscious choice. But because we are told that was bad in one way of life, and there are other ways of life that do it too, do we see that the concept of free will is a bad thing? We also have that view that free will isn't real because we have no choices in our life, that governments and parliaments and politicians take that free will away. To an extent, I agree with that, but I also don't, because once every 4 years we give away our free will. We've had this conversation about democracy before, me and someone else. Democracy is the best we can do with what we've got. But it's not really democracy, because every 4 years we all get together, and if 55% vote for one side and 40, so 55 vote for one side and then 45 vote for another, 45% of the population is basically being ignored on their choice. They're not getting that representation. That is the consequence of democracy. But we are giving away our free will to someone every 4 years, and only whichever percentage wins gets that choice heard, for want of a better term. It's better than the alternative. I'm not saying that at all. I certainly don't know the answer. But what I would say is, because we perceive our lives being taken away by others, we forget the nuances and the important parts of free will. And the nuances and the important parts of free will is that we can choose to speak up. We can choose to stand and be counted. We can choose to make our voices heard. We can choose to lay down our arms and stand side by side with people because we agree with them, rather than because we're told not to. Don't get me wrong. We, as a way of life, have had great issues, in particular from the direction of Jehovah's Witnesses in the past, and personally myself included. But would I feel, any malice towards them? Certainly not. So to hear that people who have come together to be nice with each other, if not to other people, and a life that hadn't even been fully formed yet, it's disgusting. That child never got to experience free will.
Yeah.
That
And that's
child never
awful.
got to experience free will, but someone else made use of their free will to take it away from other people. And that's where I despise the contradictions and I despise the difficulties. But it is unfortunately the world in which we live, and we have to choose to change it
Yeah.
consciously, personally, every single day. I don't have all the answers. If I did, I'd be either very, very rich or very, very stupid or very, very both. But I do know that we polarize concepts and ideas, we polarize opinions and thoughts, and that's what leads to difficulties. And if we were a little less polarized and a lot more compassionate, wouldn't the world be a better place? And I will try and avoid quoting describing life in the way that Captain Picard did this week. Sorry, Admiral Picard.
I haven't seen it.
He got in his high horse, but for a different reason in a different use of language. But I can feel the frustration bubbling up in me, so I will dismount for a moment. But I just
Stewart
yes. I do love that. I find it a contradiction in the Bible. Your path is already set, but we have free will. Don't understand how it can be both. Absolutely agree with you. Yeah. You're not thinking of the wrong thing. The world is full of contradictions, darling. I like to see it. I don't know what you think, Tony. For me, it's waypoints, and we choose how we get to those waypoints. And sometimes those choices will mean that we will miss those waypoints.
Yeah. I see it, like you say, as a dot to dot. And you've got to go to all of the points, but how you get there is your choice. And the points are lessons to be learned, and sometimes you will miss them. And sometimes you pick them up. And I think, I'm going to be a little bit controversial. I find the Bible contradicts itself all over the place because it was written by lots of different people at lots of different points in time, at least 12.
And the rest.
And
then that's not even including the editors, the contributors, the editors,
the translators, and who thought, oh, I don't like that word, we'll use this one instead, which then could change the whole.
Yes.
But that's me. But the God I know and the God I have a relationship with wouldn't send robots down onto the planet to go through the motions of a life.
Yes.
Because it's not. It's that would be like playing The Sims on the computer, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
And there's no point to that. What God did was, or the divine energy said, I need to learn about myself and understand this, and created this. So we are part of that divine energy going through, as Nick says, this experience so it can learn about itself and understand things. So why would it want to prescribe the things it wants to understand? It just wouldn't make sense.
Could that pose a question?
No.
What is it wants to understand or learn?
Itself.
Parts
that is the easy one.
Different aspects of itself.
You've only got to look at the most asked question in all of humanity to know what God wants to know. Why am I here?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it wants to know. Because at the end of the day, we're exploring how did we get created, and we've got science where we can research and find quantum mechanical equations and tiny little subatomic hints at creator and intelligence. God doesn't have all that because it was the only entity, and it, I believe, probably doesn't know how it came into being, because eternity is both directions. So if it's always been and always will be, then what am I? How did I come into being if I've always existed? That's a hell of a question. So you've got to break it down into its constituent parts. So I believe that the ultimate question is the question we all ask every single day. Why am I here?
What's the point? Yeah.
Yeah. How did I get here?
I've just read the screen.
Which the Facebook user one?
Yeah.
Yes. What do you think?
From the conversations and things I have with Spirit, I think you still have choices. You still have choices because we all, once you return back to the great divine energy, we've still got experiences to have.
Yes.
And choices to make and things to learn. Because the big one of the questions that comes up, and I can say probably 99 out of 100 times I do a dem, you'll get, well, but what about all the bad people?
Yeah.
Where do they go? And it's like, I'll use my apartment block analogy. It's like, if you've been really, really crappy, you go into the basement and you're stuck in the boilers. And then when you learn and grow and develop, you move up to the budget level floor where you've got a bed and a sink and a toilet type of thing, you know.
Yeah.
Holiday Inn, that type of thing. And a travel lodge and then a Premier Inn, and then, you know, you might get up to the, you know,
the 5-star Hilton, you know,
the 5 stars. Yes.
Bit of a Savoy moment there going on.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I mean,
it's that type of thing. So we all have things to learn and to grow and develop, even once we've transitioned. So there must be free will there, because otherwise, how would you learn anything without having to make decisions and choices and mistakes?
Yes.
Somebody just shouted in my ear, and don't forget, we all make mistakes.
Absolutely.
I don't know why that's important, but yeah. But it's by the mistakes, the fluff ups, that we learn our hardest lessons sometimes. And sometimes we've got to mess up big style to learn that lesson.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Joanne, I absolutely love you.
Mm-hmm.
Your life is your Bible, how you understand your life and all the events that happen in your lifetime and the wisdom behind it. Hear, hear, hear. I absolutely agree. And I agree with you, Tony, as well. I have a problem with the concept of describing heaven as a utopia. Because I have a problem with the concept of a utopia. Because I don't believe, certainly on a physical level, and I will qualify that, on a physical level, I don't believe that a utopia can exist without surrendering free will.
Yeah.
And to an extent, it is probably insinuated in the Garden of Eden that if they didn't know what good and evil was, they didn't have the knowledge of good and evil. There's an insinuation there that there was no free will before coming to Earth. However, I have a problem with that too, because it is an analogy of creation. It's a description of how we got free will, but not the exact way it happened. But I have a problem with the concept of utopia, because in order to understand the light, we need to know what the darkness is. In order to understand joy, we need to know what misery is. You know, and to really appreciate the moments in life that matter, we need to have experienced the opposite of them. So I have a problem with the concept of utopia being as good as it's made out to be.
Absolutely.
So I believe that free will has to exist everywhere. However, there was a Michael said, "Who created God, and does God have free will?" Well, I've already answered the who created God. God wasn't created; it's just existed forever and ever in each direction. So I get out of that one. But does God have free will is an interesting question, because in a sense, not always.
No.
Because if God has given us free will, it's actually given up its free will or its will over us. Because you can't give someone free will. Free will is kind of like, if you look at it as a concept, a limited substance. Someone's got to have it. But if you're giving it, you're actually giving it away, because you're rescinding your control, you're rescinding your influence of absolute control over us. So if I were to say to you as a minister, okay, Tony, I want you to build us a cathedral. I'm giving you free rein to build that cathedral exactly how I want you to. And then every 5 minutes, I'm interfering and telling you, well, actually, no, you don't want to do that. You want to do this. Oh, no, I wouldn't do that. Oh, and can we have this there, and can we have that there? Then I'm not allowing you to exert that free will that I've given you.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I've given up my ability, therefore, to have any influence on that subject. By saying I give you free rein, it means that I can say, well, whilst you're doing it, if you think about it, you might like to do this and you might like to do that. But I would still be trying to influence your free will, and I would be taking away your free rein. So it's one of those really, really weird balance moments that is one of those mind-blowing, is it isn't moments.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's something that I haven't quite got my head round, I'll be honest with you.
No. It just as you were speaking, though, sci-fi again.
Yeah.
Creative Steel, the 10th Doctor. The whole, well, wouldn't you like it if I could take away all of your pain and all of the hurt and all of the loss? And the Doctor says, oh, no. Because by doing that, you take away what it is to be alive. And
Yes.
it's that, and that brought me to Shelley Stewart. Do you believe that there needs to be a balance of good and evil? Yes. I think there's got to be light and dark, shade, shadows. There has to be. Because like you say, the concept of a utopia where everything is perfect and everything is wonderful for eternity is just a little bit, I don't know. I can't see it. Somewhere where there is only light.
And once again, we perceive the energy of spirit as light. So I would say that rather than being a realm of light, the spirit world is a realm of energy. And that energy can vibrate in many different ways. I certainly think that the balance of good versus evil is a lot more tipped. I believe negativity, and we've witnessed it before. Let's be look, a lot of people in our way of life avoid using this subject and talking about this subject. And I've come across this topic actually in this week's circles. I don't avoid talking about negativity. Yes, there is negativity in the world of spirit. You've only got to have seen some grumpy uncle come through, ranting and raving from the platform through a medium. Negativity does exist, but it is a grain of sand on the floor of an ocean the size of this planet in comparison to how it is here. So there is an awareness and an understanding, but it has not got sway It is that the balance of power is massively in the positive side on the world of spirit, but negativity still exists. You've only got to look at the mechanics of the universe. Everything in the world is reflected spiritually, as well as throughout all of creation, be it veins and capillaries in the hand or in a leaf, be it the appearance of neurons in the brain looking just like the artist's impression of dark matter that scientists have created. The universe is a great recycler, and if a concept works, it works, and it will use it over and over and over again. So, when it comes to negativity existing, yes, it will. Why? Because if you look at magnetism, if you look at electricity, it's all controlled by a positive and negative flow. The push me, pull you, the north and the south. So I believe that there is an awareness and a presence, but I believe they're much better at controlling the negativity upstairs than we are down here. That's for sure. But that is once again my opinion.
Yeah, and I do agree with that to a point. I mean, yeah, I've just read that.
Yeah. Yeah, you said you agree up to a point, so do elaborate, Tommy.
Yes, sorry, I was distracted by that one.
Yeah.
No, yes, the negativity is there, and negativity is, again, to use the magnetics analogy that you were, if you hold negativity and you focus on negativity and you focus on those that have done you wrong all of the time, you are looking for the negative in everything. So you attract the negative and you see more of the negative. So sometimes you have to try and make yourself refocus onto the more positives and to bring yourself back to that. But yeah, to pick up your point, there is definitely negativity in spirit, because I've had those people come through. But on the whole, what I seem to get off them is, this is how I was, but I have learned since I've passed. So to come back with that attitude, because if Nick, if you give me a message from my grandmother and you said, I've got this lovely, cuddly woman who sat and hugged it, I'd be like, no, don't know what you're talking about. She was a grumpy cantankerous madam. And if my dad's watching, I'm sorry, but he knows the truth, and he said himself.
Yeah.
But that's how she was. She had her quirks in her personality. So they come back in the way that you will recognise.
Yes.
But that's what I'm saying. On the whole, what they've learned in spirit is to let go of that negativity. Some don't. And that's why you've got, like I said, the lower levels of the apartment block, so you can shovel coal for a while till you learn your lesson. It's that sort of thing that I think I was getting at. But yes, I did like that point, Joanne. God has free will through us, because we are part of the divine energy, therefore we are divine energy making choices. And Michael made a point about
you have to have negative for positivity cannot exist without it. Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. And I would just briefly go back and say, yes, I totally agree, Michael. You might be as shocked as anybody that I'm agreeing with you, because we do look at things in a very different light sometimes, but we always end up coming around to the same answer, whether we sound like we're agreeing with each other or not. And I like the fact that I can have a right good debate with Michael, and sometimes we resolve our thoughts and sometimes we don't. But I still always learn a lot from my chats with Michael. But I totally agree with that. But as for Joanne, my God, absolutely. Because for me, God is such a complex structure. I always say that any absolute statement is conditional, but that one is the only one that I can never find any condition that might be counterbalanced by the other parts. We are the. We need that screen grab. We need that screen grab. Babylon 5 quote incoming.
Well,
Babylon 5 quote incoming. We are the universe made manifest, trying to figure itself out. And as we have learned so often in our lives, sometimes the universe needs a change of perspective. And, it is, we are the universe made manifest, trying to figure itself out. And, I just think it's really, really important to remember that we are God trying to answer its own question. Who am I and why am I here? And by figuring it out for ourselves, we might not always get the right answer. We might not always get the full answer, but we're helping build up a bigger picture for the rest of our brothers and sisters of the human family, as well as the Great Spirit. Eunice, my darling.
Light is always portrayed as good. Everything has an opposite, so therefore dark is the opposite of good. So it's equated to evil, and that's, to us, that's, as humans, that is what we call it, evil.
Yeah.
I don't. Jean and I know Jean's watching. I've seen the comment go up. Jean and I always have this conversation, and evil, there are evil deeds, but I don't think anybody is inherently evil. I think there are people who get so into one particular thought process that they commit evil acts. But I don't think any one person is inherently evil. I may be wrong, but that's how
I'm with you, and I know Eunice will agree with you. We've had this conversation ourselves before, and we like going to extremes as humanity.
Yeah,
we like making a central focus. We like being everything has to be polar opposites, but it's not that simple, because darkness isn't necessarily evil. It's absence.
But it is. It's absence of light.
Absence. So if it's absence, it's not evil, because to be evil requires a focus of malice and anger and hatred. And if there is none of those, which is absence, it's not going to be evil. Darkness is just an absence of something. And Michael, is organized religion, particularly Christianity, the root of racism? I'm going to absolutely, I very, very rarely answer in absolutes, especially when I'm talking to Michael. Yeah. Today I am. Absolutely not, because there is no way in heaven, hell, or damnation that, as my granddad would have put it, I'm channeling my granddad now. There is no way that racism is only 2,000 years old. It is way beyond that. The fact is, racism is a fear and a hatred of the other. That, unfortunately, is as old as the pack mentality of the animalistic nature of humanity. I would certainly say that it hasn't helped. Fan the flames, along with many other religions. I think in some instances, many religions are all just as bad as the other, with the exception maybe of the really old religions like paganism, which is focused on earth energies. It doesn't give a damn about what color of skin we've got or where we're from. It's focused on the core of us. More modern religions, ways of life, religious practices certainly will have fanned the flames. But to sit the blame of racism, the root of racism, on any one particular thing, I think is a mistake.
Yeah.
Bigotry doesn't come out of religion. Bigotry comes out of me being right. And if you were to remove religion from history, if you had a time machine, like,
The TARDIS.
Reverend Tony, let's go and find my time machine in my bedroom and travel back to the beginning of the universe. I've been there before. If anybody doesn't understand, that's my Stewie Griffin. I know it's not very good. But if we were to time travel back to the beginning of the universe and remove from all history the ability and concept of religion, racism would still be there. Because
Absolutely.
we can take it to a common root of the animalistic nature of animals, that pack mentality of, you're not part of my tribe, you're not part of my pack, destroy, destroy, destroy. Is one such thing. The bigotry and the hatred of something that is perceivably different. But here's the rub, and here's the problem. We are all different to each other. Too fat, too tall, too thin, too short, too loud, too quiet, too gobby. Hello. Too modest. Too green, too blue, too purple, long hair, short hair. We are all the other. We are all different. And that's what makes us all the same. So to layer the root of racism on religion, certainly I think it's a can of petrol, but the spark came from somewhere else.
Yeah, I agree. And the problem with the other point Michael makes is our friend Joshua Carpenter has been portrayed as white rather than as he would have been. That's the white middle class bishops saying he must look like us because he must have, but he didn't.
Yeah, and of course it's also Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo trying to get some naughty from their models as well at the end of the day. Because I've always found it ironic that for the last 400 or so years, people have been praying to this dark-haired, white Italian-looking gentleman as Jesus, and some of them running around saying gay bad, but actually the bloke they're praying to was the basically rent boy of Michelangelo. Dramatic irony, which I'm sure my friend Joshua Carpenter would find hilarious, considering he had short, dark hair, curly hair. He was rather short. He was slightly more tubby than people make him out to be, and he was certainly a lot more burnt sienna should have been used by Michelangelo and Da Vinci in their paintbrush.
But yeah, it is, isn't it? It's that. It's that clinging on to power of those people who want to keep control.
Yes, absolutely.
Like me, and it's not good. When someone has that dark mindset, and it's for them to find the light. It's also for us to shine the light a bit, Joanne. It's for us to shine the light and to try and help them back. And I'll use it again, the little Shrek with a torch. It's a bit dark in here, darling. Mind the step.
Yes, absolutely. But it's an interesting point there that Joanne's made, and one that I think is a natural progression for this conversation. The concept of hell, another historical oopsie daisy. That was made by people of power wanting to control people. One that actually, if you read the Gospel of Nicodemus, which of course I have, was attempted to be corrected at this very time of year, in actual fact. Because it was between allegedly, of course. But the story goes in Nicodemus that between the crucifixion and the resurrection, what was Jesus up to? And And I always found that quite an issue because nobody seems to consider that one very much.
No.
What was Jesus doing between the days when he died and came back?
Yeah.
The Gospel of Nicodemus actually answers that question and says that Jesus descended to the underworld. Jesus descended to hell and looked upon them all and said, "What the bloomin' heck are you doing here? You don't belong here. Get your backsides back upstairs." I'm paraphrasing. I'm sure he didn't quite put it like that. But basically what he was saying was, you're only here because you choose to be here. You have been told that you belong here because of what you've done. But actually, that the Father, the Great Spirit, the universe is much more forgiving than that. Get your butts upstairs. I'm closing down this place. When is a prison not a prison? When it's got no blooming locks. I reckon I'm going to have to do that one as a meme, like I did the "Don't throw bloody stones." Someone described that as my Michael Caine biblical moment. Don't throw bloody stones. But yeah, I mean, when is a prison not a prison? When there are no locks. This is the hell that we put ourselves in as a mass. That self-punishment. But if we are God made manifest, then does God punish itself for something? Like creating us, maybe. Why did I do it? Why would we feel, why would the Great Spirit feel the need to punish itself? Because it's got to have stemmed from somewhere. In order for it to be an effective tool to control people, this is the important thing. Thank you. Okay, that was very profound. Whilst we say that negativity is a tool, and hell being one of them is a tool used by power to control people, in order for it to be an effective tool to use to control people, it had to have come from somewhere. So if it comes from somewhere, if we are all God made manifest, then part of that would be God punishing itself. Why would God want to punish itself? Why would God feel not worthy of something? That's I'm going to have to listen to that one back and write it down, I tell you. Yeah. Channeling 101. No, Michael, no. God did not create hell. We did, by being in that place of uncertainty and believing we don't belong in heaven. We created the concept of it. The one thing we teach people when we're developing is that the universe of the etheric realm, the place where we go to see spirit, to meet halfway, it's got an etheric representation of everything that is, was, or will be, but everything in between as well. So forgive me for leading you down the thought process of God created hell. No, we did, by believing we belonged there. It kind of like a collective place of self-torture. So that's why in the Gospel of Nicodemus, Jesus went and said, no, this shouldn't be. Get your butts up there and then bust the lock. So apologies for, I didn't quite word that very, very well. Yes, that's true, but that's free will for you, mate. That's free will for you, Yeah. I think the whole concept of God this, humans that, God this, humans that, can sometimes lead us down an ever decreasing circle. And some, because unfortunately it's also human nature to attribute blame and responsibility for everything to something or someone. And I think that is a mistake, because we spend all of our time focusing on attributing blame rather than doing something about the problem in the first place. Yes, it's important to understand the origins, but it then goes back to the racism. Yes, we can blame religion for fanning racism, but if there was no such thing as religion, there'd still be racism. So let's deal with that. I'm going to say something really, really controversial now, and
Buckle yourself
please,
in.
before everyone decides to lynch me, please hear the end of the statement that I'm about to make, because it starts as though it's going to sound really, really dumb and really, really stupid, but I've thought an awful lot about this. I believe that racism is a wrong term. I believe that racism is not a term that should be used. Because if someone who is genuinely racist and genuinely feels like that image that we portray of racists, they are going to glory in that title, not be offended by it. They are going to be rallied together by that title, and it almost gives an official name and a social club. So I think we should stop using fancy names to describe crappy behaviour. Stop calling it these fancy titles and say exactly what it is. Sheer dumb ignorance, cruelty, horrible, sickening behaviour. Because only by stopping removing these polite labels for something that's absolutely crap will we actually start making a difference in people's lives. Stop giving people these pretty little bowed boxes to sit in and hate from, and call them exactly what they are: idiots.
Exactly.
Here endeth the sermon.
Yep. You see it on social media a lot, where it's almost like they laugh at the terms that you give them, be it turf, homophobia, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, they use it as a badge, and it's a bit no.
Yeah.
No.
I would be interested to know what other people think of that opinion. I can see the numbers dropping like a stone, so I hope I've not offended anyone. But I personally think if you call someone out for bad behaviour and they didn't mean it, they will apologise and do something about it.
Yeah.
But if you call someone a racist who's a racist, and they genuinely are, they will glorify in it and make use of it, and they will have this happy little club to sit in. Perfect example. There are many, no matter what people's opinion of it is, there are many journalists who are interviewed about, and they interview people who are non-binary, non-gender, or different gender. And a lot of journalists are called out for mispronouncing certain guests. And some of them will get on their uppity. Richard Madeley was twice called out for mispronouncing one of their guests. And he said, "I'm very sorry, I will learn to do better." Now, he got a lot of grief for that, but the person who he mispronounced said, "Hang on a minute," doing his best, and he apologised. Leave the bugger alone.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, it keeps freezing.
That's my internet. I do apologise.
It could be everyone's internet, to be honest with you. But question, and I'll then come to Jen's question. Let me start that in case it disappears. Is this hell on earth? Absolutely yes. Was it Sam Smith? Absolutely yes. And should we start a club where we stop calling people racist and start calling them bigoted idiots, rather than giving them fancy titles?
Yes.
That's the question I'd like to ask our lovely viewers. Because am I wrong for thinking that simplifying it and calling them what they are is more effective?
Together in the same club. All of it. It's all ignorant.
Yeah, that is the same as giving them a title and a box, though. Because if you put them all in a nice little club,
if we call them all bigoted idiots,
yeah, but it's not so much of a posh title, is it?
No, that's what I'm saying. So let's just call
Yeah, let's call them all. I see. Sorry, yeah. Sorry, I'm half with my head in the spirit world today. I really don't know what's going on. You know.
Yeah,
I think it's the weather, actually.
Yeah,
yes,
I'm tuning in for tonight, and it's like I've got people around me, and it's like a bit off-putting. Yes,
well,
James,
what do they think?
They agree. They say it's ignorant behaviour.
Yeah,
I can't see. I'm scared of taking it the wrong. Chrissy, the people. If we say this a lot, because Jean Godlover, when she first started coming along to the Rainbow Project, she would mispronoun people, and she would be horrified because she'd said it wrong. But if people make a genuine mistake and they apologize and they get it wrong and they learn, that's fine. It's when people do it almost maliciously.
Yeah. It's that deliberate ill intent, isn't it?
Yeah.
People, I mean, Richard Madley, yes, he's done it twice, but actually credit to the guy, because he actually didn't make a big thing of it. It wasn't oh my God, I'm so sorry. It's yes, sorry, I'll do better next, and moved on. That was brilliant and perfect, because it didn't make a big thing of it. And it is, but I have to admit, I do get you, Chrissy, because it might come across as that I'm asking for everyone's permission to believe what I just said. I'm not. No. I'm curious to know what other people's opinions of that topic are and whether they agree on it, because I like to expand my opinions based on the collective consciousness of the human race, and I like to keep I don't ever have a permanent opinion about something if it's a fluid situation. I'm open to thought and feedback, but am I afraid of saying it? Well, I wouldn't have done if I was. It's all about how we approach the subject, I think. I think there are a lot of right-wing people pretending to be left-wings. And I think that's causing a problem for both sides.
Yeah.
And then exactly what Chris's point is as well.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of right-wing people pretending to be left-wing, and that is what's causing the problem and making both sides suffer.
Yeah.
Because, right-wing isn't necessarily, racist, bad, evil people. Right-wing is just a viewpoint. I'm very central in my views. I think too much left and people get sloppy, too much right and people get ignorant. You've got to have this balance. It goes right back to where we were earlier. There's got to be a bit of balance of the two. So it can be difficult, and I get that. But I think if genuine people are having a genuine conversation, if the way in which you broach your subject on both sides of the debate is with compassion and kindness, I don't think anybody'd have a problem. I've been called some pretty horrendous things in my time, but those words are actually used by very dear friends to describe me as well, because it's the tone in which it's said, rather than, as you said, it's that deliberate action.
Yeah.
So for me, it's never what is said; it's the way it's said.
It's the intent,
and it is the intent.
Said.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And yes, it's not just that chap, Chrissy. There are lots of people who are famous for putting their foot in it.
Yeah.
And again, there are people who you just think, oh, well, yeah, that's them. They don't mean it that way, but it's just, that's how they express it. And like you say, you don't always get the intent behind it. But yeah, there are there are times to just say, "Oh, sorry, yep,
Yeah.
got that wrong. I'll do better. Sorry,"
Yeah.
and walk away. That's it.
Yeah. And likewise, there's also a risk of sometimes we like to correct each other far too much as humans.
Oh yes, of course we do. Of course we do.
Yeah. And I have to admit, and this is going to be a very personal thing now. And this is not a knock at the individual in question. In actual fact, I glory him and thank him for helping me develop as a human being. When me and my other half first got together, there are certain words that he says that used to really annoy me because the pronunciation was not what I wanted, not what I expected to be right. Because he was from slightly more north than me. In actual fact, in the Kings Lynn area, they pick up Yorkshire TV, so he was heavily influenced by a Yorkshire dialect and use of language. So some of the words he would use really used to grate me, and I'd be wanting to correct him all the time. Oh no, it's not pronounced like that. Oh, it's not pronounced like that. Oh, would you stop saying it like that? But I got over it, and I got over myself, and I grew up a bit. And, you know, there are far more important things to worry about because I knew what he was talking about because I understood the intent and the meaning of the word.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, you know, as you said, it is about intent. And, you know, sometimes we just got to let it slide a little bit because we're all different and focus on the intent and the meaning rather than the actuality. Because, you know, everybody misspeaks. Everybody misspeaks.
You've just hit a really good point, actually, Nick. And it's just taken me to a meeting we had with somebody who they're employing somebody, and it was, oh, what do we do? What do we do? And it was, we don't want to upset them about the gender and this, that, and the other. And it's like, well, each of your lavatories has one cubicle, one wash basin. There's no urinals in there, so just take the labels off the doors. Put sanitary bins in both of them. Job done.
Yeah.
Only one person can be in there at a time. Oh no, I won't go down that rabbit hole. You know, and it was about it's just talk to the person. The first question on tier one is, hello, welcome to whatever the company is. How do you like to be addressed? What pronouns do you like to use? Done.
Yeah.
Dusted. Sorted.
Absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely.
There might be people who don't know the person who get it wrong, but a little word in the ear. Sorted. Don't make it a big thing. You know, don't make it a big thing. Just do it. Yeah. Labels.
My 2023 mission, labels, absolutely. And that reminds me actually of just going back on the racism thing as well. There's a clip that used to come up a lot on TikTok. Oh, Michelle, don't worry. You're never too late to the party. The party's just getting started. Plus, it's got a rewind button when it's done. But yeah, there was a video banging around on TikTok. It was the Kevin Costner movie where he worked in NASA.
Oh yeah.
And he was calling out this young woman for being gone to the toilet for a long time. And the clip that they showed was really quite snappy. He was really quite snappy. He says, why is it that you disappear for 45 minutes every day and blah and blah and blah? And he came across as a bit of a tit, really. And she says, she gives this beautiful, powerful, heart-wrenching speech about, I'm so sorry if I can't be nipping to the lavatory really, really quickly. And he's saying, well, you've going to the lavatory 45 minutes. What's wrong with you? And she says, there are no lavatories for me on this side of the campus. I have to go all the way over there to get back. So it's not my fault that there is not a bathroom that I'm allowed to use in this building. And that's where the scene ends. But it's not. If you find the footage and care to search for the conclusion of that event, it's even just as beautiful. Because that particular part of the story ends with Kevin Costner taking a baseball bat to the sign that says whites only toilet. And he turns round and says, "We all pee the same. I don't want to hear any more arguments. You go to the loo and be back in 5 minutes." And it was so, and I believe, I mean, it's been a while since I looked into it, but I believe that was actually a genuine story, a real true story. This white guy who was a businessman or something, mad scientist in NASA, actually took a baseball bat to the whites only toilet sign. This is obviously in the 40s, of America, because it's NASA. But yeah, it was a beautiful speech that she made. But then to see him take this baseball bat to this whites only sign, it was fantastic. Yeah. And it is just going back to Eunice's comment. Remove those damn labels. Remove those damn labels.
Take the signs off the door.
Yeah. I will see if I can find it on YouTube and share it on my Facebook page. I'm sure it will be in my browser history somewhere, because when I found it, I watched it about 30 times. Yeah. But it's Kevin Costner was the guy that she was getting told off initially by. And obviously he does the closing line a lot better than I do. It's that voice. But that's a story for another day.
Yeah. You started a comment by Jen earlier.
Thank you. Yes. Because I thought we might end up missing and getting carried away. So where does that leave people like Putin or Hitler, who were incredibly cruel? It's a very valid question, which is why I started it. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't always like the answer. However, Tony, your thoughts?
They go where everybody else goes. It's just they've got a lot more. They'll be stuck in the boilers in the basement for a lot longer than the rest of us, because they're going to take so long to learn their lessons and to see the hurt that they've inflicted on everybody.
Yeah.
But that's the trouble with very charismatic. Not Putin isn't that charismatic.
No.
Hitler certainly was, and knew how to work a crowd.
Yes.
So
yes,
that's how he did what he did. But yeah, it's just that unfortunately they return to the divine energy like the rest of us do, but they've got a lot more work to do.
Yes.
A lot more work to do when they get there.
Yes, absolutely. And again, Tony, I completely agree. I know I knew we'd agree on this one because we've spoken about it, many times in the past together. It is all about that choice again. And I'll pick up on Jen's response to that as the follow-up, my follow-up. And in answer and in essence, Michelle, yes, they probably still are and will be for a very long time to come. Depending on
the people they hurt, will be on that much higher plane,
and they will have to answer to them. And they will have to face them.
They will.
Here is the thing, and this is a caveat to that all in spirit. We have to choose to do something about our mistakes. If we choose to say they weren't mistakes. You're absolutely right about one thing. Hitler was a very charismatic genius, as well as being a homicidal monster. Genocidal monster, in actual fact. He may be a genius, but he won't be able to talk his way out of this one. He won't be able to talk his way out of this one. He will be asked whether he believes what he did was right and wrong. And if he says he believes what he did was right, he will go no further. He will not progress. He will not develop. He will be in a penalty box.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to see everyone in the world of spirit enjoying themselves whilst he is detached from connection, detached from love, detached from compassion, and detached from progressing, until he makes a conscious choice to say, I was wrong and I need to do something about this.
Mm-hmm.
And then he will have to make up for every single heartbreak. So if you are someone who is responsible for the death of one person, you haven't just got to make it up to the person you killed. You've got to make it up to the people that were hurt, the ripple effect. So the friends and the family. And when you're responsible for multiple deaths, it then begins to multiply and multiply. And yet you've got to make it up and do something about it and want to improve before you are allowed to progress beyond that original hospital wing or entrance way or hallway or starting block or penalty box.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's a lot of work for some people, but it's got to be possible. We've asked this question 1,000 times before, and my favourite version is, if we are spiritualists and we believe in the eternal progress is open to every human soul, then we have to believe that it's at least possible, A, for them to want to improve on what they've done, and B, that they should be allowed to. Whether they do or not is way above our pay grade. And it is free will, but it's certainly way above my pay grade, and I'm just glad that I haven't got to deal with it in any way, shape or form, or at least I hope not.
Jen, thank you.
Bless you. Jen is full of lovely questions. I've got a few that I'm answering for her. And she really does push the boundaries. I think it's wonderful, actually.
There are lots
Who
of
knows?
theories, Daniel.
There are a lot of theories.
See Michael's comment. I agree with that as well, Daniel. Michael, when the American Air Force had a base in Yorkshire, the MPs, the military police, asked the local pub not to serve the black flyboys. The pub put a sign up, no military police.
Yes, there it is. When the American Air Force had,
I love that. Everybody else
and you know what, that is it's still exclusionary, but boy is it a way of dealing with the problem, you know. The one who's got a problem out, everyone else has a bit more of a safe space and a bit of a fun time, especially with the flyboys. How could you say no to any flyboy, regardless of their color? They're flyboys. Come on.
Uniforms.
Well, going to say not just the flyboys, the gropos as well, and the sailor boys. Well, all of them really, uniforms. Joanne.
Oh yeah, I saw that, Daniel. Sorry, I just was a comment below.
I don't know if this has happened to him, but when I've shown my spiritual mirror the opportunity to heal what needs to be healed, they keep coming back until yes, absolutely, which is Absolutely, totally agree, Joanne. So we have got to answer ourselves,
Mhm.
and I know I've got work to do. I know I've got work to do.
Oh,
We
yeah.
all have. We all have. But to be fair, there was a film when I was a kid, and I thought it was brilliant. And I really, really liked it. And I can't remember what it was. I know it was black and white, so I know it was really, really old. But there was this. It was basically this film of this bloke talking about his entire life, and he was, having flashbacks of various different moments and aspects, and they would have to decide whether it was a white ball or a black ball.
Oh.
And the white balls were all put on one side of the scale, and white ball was, yeah, did a good job, and the black ball was, could have done better. I think if it had been a color film, so like, today in Technicolor, it would have probably have been gold and silver, but it had to be pretty different and obvious. And of course, it's yin and yang as well.
Yeah,
But the scales were balanced by how many different balls were on one side and t'other, and there was an awful lot of negative balls. An awful lot of negative balls, and he was getting a bit worried. And then, right at the very end, the person who was testing him said, "But you've forgotten about this one, this event." And they come to the relive the event, and he saved someone's life.
Mm.
And to be honest with you, the negative balls were all very piecemeal things, like, close the door on somebody who needed some sugar and stuff like that. It was never anything really, really bad, but he'd saved someone's life, and they produced this massive white ball and put it on the scales, and it just and that has always stuck with me as a really good indicator of, yes, we do have to eventually judge ourselves in the world of spirit, but do we sometimes judge ourselves too harshly? The things that we think are the really, really bad things, are they that bad in comparison to some of the other things that we think, yeah, well, I suppose I did all right there. I suppose I did all right there.
Yeah.
Are they the really heavy cricket balls compared to the ping pong balls of our mistakes? And do we overcompensate with the negativity? Precisely going back to where we were earlier about punishing ourselves.
Yeah, we do. It's much easier to look at ourselves and our actions and judge ourselves harshly. We are often our own worst critics.
Yes.
Absolutely. I think so. I know I am. I'm really bad at it.
Yeah.
Really
I get told off a lot for criticizing myself. I suppose in past years I've used that as a defense mechanism, but now I do it to set up jokes. Like earlier on, I was criticized for for criticizing myself. I can't remember exactly what it was. It was something about my uncertainty. Jen, if you're still on, will probably remember it because it was on our group chat. And I said something about it. They said that I was special because of what I do. And I said, you say special, I say indecisive. Or at least I think that's what it is. Because I do use self-deprecation as humour.
Yeah.
But also I use it as a learning tool, and I actually quite glory in my self-deprecation because it stops me from being a narrow-minded pighead. And I know that I have the potential to be that person. and I know that in the past I may have been that person. So perhaps my self-deprecation is my way of keeping myself in check. But there we go. Sorry, that was a very deep moment there for a moment.
Yes, it's that self-awareness, isn't it? That emotional intelligence that we have to know that if we are prone to do that, then we can put mechanisms in place to help us stop doing it.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you can balance the scales yourself a little bit. If you are self-aware and emotionally intelligent here, then maybe you haven't got so much work to do when you go.
Yeah.
That was it. I recognise the self-deprecation. I use that too, but it covers up my self-esteem issues. We all suffer to a certain degree with self-esteem.
Yeah.
I think it's human nature to feel maybe not good enough and you've got to try a bit harder. There's a certain level where that is healthy to encourage yourself to try that little bit harder, but it's that when it gets too bad, then that's the issue.
And it is a knife edge. It is a knife edge.
Yeah.
And you have to be so careful because, self-deprecation can be that self-control, but it can also become the very thing that you're afraid of the most, and it becomes so overpowering that it almost becomes false.
Yeah.
So you do have to walk on a knife edge with that one.
You do.
Which is why I made the joke about, you call me special. I say I'm just indecisive, or at least I think so. I like to throw in a bit of humor with things, but once again, that's another defense mechanism. If I was being pounded, if I could make them laugh, I could run away. That's one thing that I always managed to do because, being twice the body weight I was supposed to be and not very athletic, I needed something as an edge. And my humor was always one of them.
Yeah.
We all do it. But I think if we can, as you said, Tony, recognize it within ourselves and manage it, it can be more positive than negative.
Yes. Yeah, it can. But like you say, it's a very fine line between that and then you falling into other issues.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're in on the joke, nobody can laugh at you. That's what that is. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's my joke, then it's my joke.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
that was an hour and a half of a ride.
I know. I can't believe it's already gone an hour and a half.
I know.
It goes so quickly with you, my lovely, lovely friends.
And all of you, and thank you for the comments, the conversation. Because when we started this, we had no clue where we were going to go.
No, I know, and it seems to have been one of the most in-depth and I'm going to have to listen to what Spirit said a few times again because I can then write it down because there were some really poignant things but it is with those poignant Spirit messages that I suppose I start to open up about myself a little bit more, which I think is equally important for everyone who joins us to see the real us. I know I come across as a very confident, chatty, jokey person, but I really am not. No. It is a tool that I use to help, spread the word of Spirit, but you also need to see that it is just a tool and that I am really human, and not some, bot.
Absolutely. And I'm pleased we help you get your hair and makeup done, Shelley.
Speaking of people growing and developing, there's one person who really has taken on leaps and bounds. And I have to say, when it comes to Jen, her sense of awe and amazement of the world always cheers me up. So, thank you all so very, very much, each and every one of you, and especially you, Tony, for putting up with my ramblings and rantings week in, week out now. You used to only have to do it once a month.
Yeah.
But I do look forward to my Friday afternoons chatting with everyone now. And you never know, we might have a podcast coming soon as well. So we need to sort that out and
get it sorted. Yeah.
And for everyone who's planning on coming to the VIP workshop with myself and Dawn tonight, I will see you all later. Bless you. Thank you, Joanne. Always a pleasure, never a chore. And so what are you up to this weekend, mate?
We've got an owners party tomorrow evening here.
Yes.
And that's about it, I think. What are we doing Sunday? We've got
I'm having a chat with a friend for...
That's it. Yep. Michael's got a Rainbow Project meeting.
Fabulous.
So that'll be interesting.
We will be plumbing in a new washer.
Yes, we're getting a new second-hand washer, because ours in the we've got a shed at the back of the caravan with a washing machine in it, and we used it over Christmas and forgot to drain it and turn the tap off. So there was water flooding out of the bottom of the caravan. A caravan owners party. It's not like a bowl and keys. No, it's not.
Oh dear. Sorry.
No.
That could have gone many ways. Is it?
It could.
Yes.
It could. No,
Caravan owners party.
Very respectable. Very respectable.
That cheered me up. That did. Thank you so much. Well, have a wonderful party.
When I was dressed as a flapper girl from the 20s, with the beaded dress.
Oh, were you? Oh, wow.
Yes, it was Gatsby themed. It was
fabulous.
Party.
The Great Gatsby.
I teetered down in my heels.
Fantastic. I bet that was fun.
But no, wonderful. Thank you. I am so pleased at how these sessions are going, because we're exploring a lot of things that I never, ever dreamt we would get to.
And frankly, don't always get an airing on social media and on platforms like this. Exactly. I'm not saying we're unique, but I think sometimes we touch on things that gets avoided by people, which is a shame, because it shouldn't be avoided. We should face these challenges head on, demolish labels, free the world, and just be nice. There we go. And
if people have any suggestions, any topics that they're burning in the back of their mind, or any issues, please book them into the Spiritline Facebook page.
Yes, facebook.com/groups/2Revs. You'll find us there, and we can collate. Take care, Chrissy. Take care, Shelley.
Happy birthday.
Yes, next Friday we will sing to you, my darling. Don't worry. I'm sure you'll remind me on Wednesday. And thank you to all of you, and a big thank you, of course, to Tony. And well done for your questions, Michael. I enjoyed them with great pleasure, as always. Good man. I'm going to give you your husband back now. I'm going to go and find mine. Do some cooking before the workshop tonight. But thank you all so very much. I won't forget at all. I promise you, it's next on my list. Take care, Daryl. Michelle, as always, a pleasure, and look forward to seeing you next week too. But for now, it's good night from me,
and it's good night from him.
Good night. God bless everyone. See you soon. May the peace of the Great Spirit go with you all.
Bye.